Welcome back to Newsday. Thank you for staying with us. Now, ahead of ruling of the Court of Appeal on the Plateau State governorship election, stakeholders have continued to express concern over conflicting judgments from the election petition tribunals sitting on cases from the state. Recall that the PDP Governors Forum had expressed deep concern regarding recent judgments of the Court of Appeal nullifying the elections of PDP lawmakers in Plateau State. Speaking in Abuja, Senator Bala Mohammed, chairman of the forum and governor of Bauchi State, had called on the judiciary at the apex level to preserve the integrity of the legal system and prevent distortion of the country's jurisprudence. Governor Mohammed reaffirmed the forum's confidence in the judiciary's ability to administer justice in political and other cases before the courts. Well, for more on this, former Speaker, Plateau State House of Assembly, Istifanus Mwansat, joins us from our Abuja studio. Good afternoon, Mr. Mwansat. Thank you for being here on Newsday.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, of course, you're definitely aware of what the PDP Governors Forum expressed in terms of their deep concern over the recent judgment of the Court of Appeal. But their emphasis is on the fact, or is on what they're saying is the fact that these pre-election matters have already been addressed by the Supreme Court. What's your take on this angle?
Well, I align myself with the submissions of the PDP Governors Forum because what's happening in the Court of Appeal is one of the wonders of the world, to my understanding. Because where you have conflicting judgments at the same Court of Appeal, sitting in the same courtroom, on the same issues, same facts, giving conflicting judgments, it calls for concern. And I think that's why, as a state, as a people, and as a nation, the time is now for us to rise up to the challenge and do what is needful to save our democracy and, of course, to save our legal jurisprudence.
Right. Thank you for that. Now, the PDP governors are also calling for, the PDP forum, is also calling for the disbanding of the electoral petition tribunals following this controversy. Now, do you think this will produce the required results? Do you think this will level the playing field? Or is this a deeper systemic issue that needs a closer look of review?
I think both options are tried. One, it is likely going to change the course of justice because for any reason, if I'm a party in a matter and I have expressed doubt on the panel, I think it is just natural and responsible for those sitting on that matter to recuse themselves, one. Secondly, it is also going to be very needful that we look at the judgments so far passed. In the same Court of Appeal, in the same courtroom, the laws are being applied differently. The Court of Appeal, in a judgment of Askira Uba in Borno State, delivered by Justice Chioma, when the APC in Borno State took the PDP in Borno State to court, challenging disobedience of a Supreme Court order. Of course, the judge agreed with them that the PDP was in disobedience of the Supreme Court order in Borno State, but then that the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal cannot be expanded, and therefore it lacks jurisdiction to entertain those matters because, one, issues that concerns the appeal tribunal, now the appeal court sitting as an appeal tribunal for an election matter, she used the word that the issues must be contemporaneous with the elections, meaning those are issues that happen within the period of elections. But for the issue of qualification, as they put it, it is a pre-election matter that the Court of Appeal sitting as an appeal over an election matter does not have jurisdiction to entertain. Other than that, it will amount to expanding the scope or the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal. Now, the same issue, the APC in Plateau State took the PDP in Plateau State to court over disobedience of court order. Assuming but not conceding that the PDP was in disobedience of a court order, the appeal tribunal does not have jurisdiction to entertain that matter. In any case, the PDP has never been in violation of a court order, because the Court of Appeal, in its judgment, in Senator Mwatkon's matter, the Senate Minority Leader, the judge in that court agreed with the PDP that we complied with the court order, because she talked about partial compliance. The question you are tempted to ask is, who measures the degree of compliance? What makes up a compliance to be partial and what makes it to be complete? I cite an instance. We have over 93 million registered voters in Nigeria. Less than 25 million Nigerians voted. That is merely just 25% of the total voters register that voted. For that reason, can that amount to non-compliance of the court process, of the election process? It's a no. So when you talk about partial compliance, we ask the question, what is the instrument used in measuring the level of compliance? And in any case, I was a member of the caretaker committee of the PDP in Plateau that the National Working Committee set up. When in compliance with that court order, the EXCO of the party in the state was dissolved, and a caretaker put in place, chaired by the distinguished Senator Tunde Ogbeha and some other members of the committee. In an election that has a delegate of about 2,600 and about 2,500 participated, that is over 90% participation. So who is talking about partial compliance here? And in any case, does the law talks about partial compliance or what? It is either you are complying or not. There's no midway in terms of compliance. So for us, we believe sincerely that the PDP is in compliance with court order, and in any case, even if it is not, that is outside the boundary of the Court of Appeal. So I believe sincerely that as a party, we have registered. Our national chairman has caused a petition to be written to the National Judicial Commission for the disbandment of that commission, that panel. And if I were them, if they're honorable enough, I challenge them to recuse themselves from sitting over matters concerning Plateau, because we have seen where the laws have been applied differently for Plateau, for Borno, and for other states. So we're asking the question, what makes Plateau different? It means something is amiss somewhere. We fear for a situation where tomorrow, after we have been cheated, somebody will, during a valedictory session, will be pouring encomiums on his sister or anybody for the role she played or he played in the course of election matters as it affects Plateau.
Well, we certainly hear you, Mr. Mwansat. Now, if this call by the president, if this call for the disbandment of the Plateau State Election Appeal Court panel does not materialize, what do you deem the potential next steps that would be taken by the PDP?
Well, I think the courts should also be very, very considerate of the fragile nature of peace on the Plateau. As I speak to you now, the place is tensed up. People are agitated because a situation where somebody contested an election and he is outrightly rejected by the people, and for reason of technicalities or whatever consideration, you take off that mandate from those people, I think it is better expected, it is better imagined than expected.
Well, can you go into specifics, even though you're
so as to the next line of action?
Yes.
Yeah, because the issues are clear. The issues the APC is challenging with regards to elections on the Plateau had to do with nominations and sponsorship, which of course is a settled matter by the Supreme Court. And in any case, they are shifting the goalpost midway into the game. Today they are talking about qualification, and they are not talking specifically about sponsorship or nomination. You cannot talk about qualification without attacking the candidates. Now the question is, whose qualification are you challenging? Qualification of the candidates or qualification of the political party that sponsored the candidates? If it is qualification of the candidates, the Constitution is very clear. It has sections dealing with qualification. House of Assembly, I think Section 106. The National Assembly, Section 67. The Governorship, Section 177. It talks clearly and spells out what qualifications talks about. And if it has to do with the political party, by my understanding, what qualifies a political party to sponsor a candidate? For as long as that party is a registered political party with INEC, it is qualified to contest election. You will recall last year or thereabout, when INEC deregistered some political parties, they went to court to challenge their deregistration. And the court affirmed the capacity of INEC to deregister those parties. And that was it. So if PDP is a registered political party, PDP is a single legal entity, as it were, known to INEC. The officers of PDP are known to INEC, registered with INEC. So who is challenging qualification here? Are you challenging the qualification of PDP to sponsor candidates? Are you challenging the candidates, the qualification of the candidates PDP has sponsored? On the basis of age, on the basis of educational qualification, or on the basis of what? So when you talk about qualification, you are attacking the candidates that are so presented. And when you go by the constitutional provision, who amongst our candidates was not qualified, constitutionally speaking? Or are you saying the PDP is not qualified to sponsor a candidate or sponsor candidates? So for us, we believe that the judgments that are being churned out from the appeal court, right from the tribunal, as it relates to Plateau, is the other wonder of the world, because it is not understanding to us. It's unfathomable. People talk about structure. What is structure? That's a new lexicon to our electoral jurisprudence. What is structure? What are you talking? What do you mean by structure? That's a vague word. What is structure? And in any case, we have said this. If you are talking about qualification, it's a constitutional matter. Who is not qualified among our candidates? If you are talking about qualification of the political party, then it means PDP wouldn't have contested any election in Nigeria. So you cannot single out Plateau and say the PDP was not qualified. What is the capacity of the PDP on the Plateau? Is the PDP on the Plateau in a position to sponsor candidates or nominate or sponsor candidates? In nominating candidates, in sponsoring candidates, there are processes. You start with the notice of activities you send to INEC. That is done by the National Working Committee. You go on with sales of forms. That is done by the National Working Committee. Conduct of primaries, and then submission of names, successful candidates of the party to INEC. All these are constitutional responsibilities of the National Working Committee. So where is the role of state chapter? The state chapters are unknown to INEC as far as sponsorship and nomination is concerned.
I'd like to take us back to a statement you made earlier where you were concerned that the mandate of the people is being revoked in some instances. Now let's take a look at some of the discrepancies that are arising. There are some cases in which certificates of returns were withdrawn from PDP candidates, and the observation is that if the APC candidate was second, the certificate of return is said to be issued to that candidate, and in instances where the APC was possibly third in line, there would be a rerun. Can you give us a little bit more detail about some of the discrepancies you noticed in the conduct of the process of certificate of returns and reruns?
Yeah, that is to reinforce my statement about the other wonders of the world that have been churned out by the Court of Appeal. Now, in the Northern Senatorial judgment of the Court of Appeal, the PDP came first, the Labour Party came second, and the APC came third. Now, in the senatorial elections, the appeal court ruled that there should be a rerun. And in that judgment, the judge said, all parties herein shall participate in the election. Shall is the operating word. In law, when you say shall, it says must. And when you say hearing, it means all parties concerned in this suit. Now, because APC was not second after PDP, an order of rerun was made by the tribunal. That is by my understanding. Secondly, for Jos North Basa Federal Constituency, again on the same issue, same facts. PDP came first, PRP came second, APC came third. Now again, just like for the senatorial judgment, an order of a rerun was made by the court. Now for Kwanpan Shendam Mikang Federal Constituency, PDP came first, APC came second. On the same issue, same facts, the judgment was to the effect that the certificate of return issued to the PDP candidate should be withdrawn, and a new certificate of return be issued to the candidate of the APC. Now you ask the question, what's the difference between the issues concerning Basa Jos North Federal Constituency and the Plateau North Central elections? What's the difference between that and that of Mikam Kwanpan Shenda? That you are giving two different orders. I cite an example for you at the lower tribunal in Plateau State concerning Langtang North State constituency. A judge, two people were contesting went to court challenging PDP's victory in the state constituency. Now, when the judge, when it was there for the judgment between PDP and Labour Party, the tribunal chairman of that panel ordered that the certificate of return issued to the PDP candidate should be withdrawn and issued to the candidate of the Labour Party. Now, the following week, it was judgment between APC, PDP. The same judge gave an order that the certificate of return issued to PDP be retrieved and given to the candidate of the APC. There are two orders here. You are giving two orders for a certificate of return to be issued to Labour and PDP. You have retrieved the first one and given to PDP and given to Labour Party. On a second order, you are saying it should be, where will the PDP man have another certificate of return so that you retrieve to give to the Labour Party, to the APC candidate? Now it tells us, it's very clear, it's crystal clear to us with discerning minds to understand that there's a deliberate plot to ensure that the APC is forced through the throat of Plateau people. And the APC has been so rejected by Plateau people at any instance. And if this thing is insisted, sometimes things happen and you ask why are people behaving the way they behave. You wonder why people will go on suicide mission. You wonder why people will go and begin to behave somehow. You are better dead than being a slave or being suppressed in your nation, in your own state or your own country. So I think this is not understandable to us. So we are calling on Nigerians to rise up to the occasion, because this Nigeria is ours to keep, to sustain, to protect. And of course, we must protect the constitution of this country. We must protect democracy in this country. Because what is going on? I tell you, 2 weeks ago, I contemplated withdrawing my daughter from reading law, my niece from reading law in the university, because I don't understand, because they are not mentoring the young lawyers in a good way. So for me, I feel very strongly that these are the specific issues that we are challenging, and we are saying these are the discrepancies and the conflicting judgments that are being churned out from the same Court of Appeal, headed by the same person, one appeal court president, and these judgments are being given from the Court of Appeal. I think there's more to it than meets the eye.
Well said, Mr. Mwansat. Now, in addition to what was expressed by the PDP Governors Forum regarding the recent judgments, they also made a call to the president, and they appealed for the federal government to intervene in stabilizing the naira, controlling inflation, tackling the unemployment crisis, and providing relief to Nigerians. Is that something you'd also like to touch on at this time?
Well, you see, all these issues are intertwined, they're interrelated, because you cannot have a stable nation where there is no justice. Because first thing first, you'll have to address the issue of justice and equity before you even dive into the economy. When the people are restless, of course, the economy will not mean anything to them. However, I agree with the call by the PDP governors for the federal government or Mr. President to address the economic issues of this country. On a daily basis, the naira is nosediving against the dollar. Cost of living going over the ceiling is going beyond the means of ordinary Nigerians. The gap between the rich and the poor is getting wider. The middle class is being eliminated by the day. You are either rich or you are poor. So I think this is the time. The time is now for Mr. President to put in place, put on his thinking caps and mobilize all the professionals that will help him in addressing the economic issues of this country. So I align with the PDP governors because they have never made a submission that is out of order.
Right, now just to take us back to the election tribunal issues, your petition at the moment, you seek redress. You are seeking redress from the National Judicial Council. What do you want them to do about this situation? Because litigation must come to an end. So what is the outcome you're looking for from the National Judicial Council?
Yeah, first, we are requesting that this panel be disbanded because they have shown adequate reason for us to suspect that there's a handshake across the Niger. And therefore, we have lost confidence in the panel. And I have said this earlier on, that if they are reasonable enough, I expect that they should recuse themselves before the National Judicial Council will even disband them. Because if I'm a judge sitting over a matter, and a party to the matter has reason to doubt my neutrality, I have no business insisting that I must sit over that matter, except if I have a personal or pecuniary interest in such a matter. Then secondly, I believe sincerely that we will need to look at the Constitution again, and of course the Electoral Act. A situation where elections are conducted and you say elections into the National Assembly terminates at the appeal court. We are seeing a situation where the appeal court judges are becoming demigods. I am of the opinion that appeals for election matters should go as far as the Supreme Court, even if not for the state assemblies, for the national assemblies. Because a situation where a clear pre-election matter has transformed or has metamorphosed into a post-election matter is a thing of concern to us. And therefore, there's every need for the Constitution to be amended in that respect. A situation where somebody's election is being annulled at the appeal tribunal, and somebody who is going beyond the appeal, for instance, governor is going beyond the appeal and going to the Supreme Court on similar issues, and the Supreme Court gives judgment in line with earlier pronouncement of the Supreme Court. Now, the governor enjoys that, and those that terminate at the appeal suffer for reasons best known to whoever is passing such judgment, and not as a result of the fact that they are not properly or validly elected. So I feel very strongly that what needs to be done is that the appeal for election matters should move as far as the Supreme Court. And again, it is also going to save us so much money if the Electoral Act is amended to ensure that all post-election matters are concluded before elected people are sworn in. Other than that, you use state resources, you use state machinery to perpetuate yourself in office, even after not being validly elected by the people.
Well, Mr. Mwansat, as we round up with you, you let us know earlier on that the things are rather tense in Plateau State. Would you like to seize this opportunity to appeal to those who are in support of the PDP, to make sure that things stay relatively calm until you see the process through?
Yeah. I am not, I will appeal to them, but I don't think I'm in a position to stop people from agitating. Because you only appeal to people when they are sure that they will get justice. And if there's no justice in my position, I will also be agitated. Then somebody also needs to appeal to me. Because I'm going to be part of those that will be agitated. Because justice is not served. What we are getting now is judgment and not justice. Judgments are now at the discretion of the judex. They pass judgments not based on facts, not based on law, but based on their discretion and, of course, their mood, as far as whatever their mood is at the time of delivering judgment.
All right. Well, on that note, we thank you so much for your time and thank you for your contribution. We do hope that there can be some sort of resolution found to the matters arising. That's right, Honorable Istifanus Mwansat, former Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. Thank you so much for your time.